Syracuse County Council. See, the mayor's office, they always get the cool shit. You know what I mean? Have to make mention about that.
First of all, you got to be a pastor. One.
Yeah, you gotta get it. You gotta get baptized first.
Yeah, baptized too. Right?
I got my collar and my chain in the car if you want me to put it on.
Good afternoon. Welcome to Public Safety Meeting. I'm joined by my colleagues, Martin Nave and Amir Gathers. To my left, our Deputy Mayor, Owens.
Hello.
And our Director, Latif. Good to see both of you. Welcome, everybody. Today is to receive updates on the gun violence initiative, and we are very eager and looking forward to hear the progress and the strides that have been made thus far. So I'm going to give it to you. Take it away.
Thank you, Councilman Cho. Appreciate this time. I'm a joke.
That's all right.
Sorry about that.
No, you're good.
You know, I see you close. You know, I said your name like that.
That's the free offering when you go to this church.
Now, next time he comes by.
It's culturally relevant to me as well. Right.
Thank you. First, I just want to start. We have a full team now. Most of our team is here on today, present on the day. We have Allie Sampson, our data analyst, and Anissa Evans, our program manager, and our lead intervention outreach worker is David Hills. Okay. So they are here on the day, and we also have 4 other gentlemen that are doing outreach with us, which we're calling street intervention specialists. So on top of working with the top 50, they're doing a lot of outreach during the week, making sure we're keeping, any beefs and things and being relevant to what's going on the streets. Just to kind of give you this overview of the program.
So those 4 are the messengers?
Yeah, credible
Okay.
messengers.
Okay,
Yep.
credible
Yep.
messengers.
They are all city staff people, and then we have contracted agents.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, and that credible messenger piece is important. So as we look at these positions and we talk about mentorship and all that, all those ladies and gentlemen are credible messengers.
Give me a second. Are they here?
Some are here. Yep.
Okay. Could we see who they are?
Yep. We have David Hills.
Lisa. David Hill?
Yep. Good Life in the back there.
Okay.
Laquan. And Devin, and from Northside, Mark Cass. Yep.
Good to see you, Mark.
So just to give an overview, what we've started is of course, our street intervention, our mentorship, in cognitive behavioral therapy, which as we go through, you'll see we're really just starting to get started with those things, the cognitive behavioral therapy piece. Economic opportunity, we had a meeting this past week with CNY Works was there, kind of getting updates on what's going on with programming as we continue to build a relationship and those opportunities there.
So the workforce side of it is with CNY Works? Mm-hmm. Okay.
And also, the intervention specialists, their job is to even look outside of that if it's not CNY Works or any job opportunity. We've taken a couple of individuals on, job fairs, things like that, to figure out some opportunities while they get, the mentorship and the leadership they need. Some need license. We've got some of our individuals into the GED program. One of our first individuals tested and got into the GED program. So we are seeing that as well.
How many of that so far? Is it just one so far?
As far as individuals that we're working with? No, we're working with all 50.
Okay, you got all 50
are assigned.
You already
Yep.
signed, okay.
Yep.
And then how many have, as far as trying to regroup themselves or at least trying to get back to?
Yeah, so I think the intervention pieces with all of them, our goal is to make contact with everyone and begin the intervention process and the process of mentorship. So that first conversation is when it starts. So when an intervention specialist or a mentor case manager meets with an individual, it starts right there. So from the first contact, we begin our process of mentoring and advocating for individuals.
What you'll begin to see more of now is the actual referrals to a CNY Works or Syracuse Build or SUNY ELC or any of the workforce training programs we have.
Okay.
And those who are school age, trying to get them back into school.
So the individual in GED are with who? Are they with EOC or community centers or BOSI's? EOC? EOC, and it's one so far?
And so,
Okay. Okay. And all the contracts are executed?
yes.
Okay.
And we have a timeline that I believe is on
Page 7.
page, 7, 22.
And then the hiring, as you said, no vacancies. They all got filled.
Yep, everybody's hired, yep.
Timeline, meeting those time, are we good? Are we on track, or do we need to do extensions?
We may need to do some extensions as we get towards the end of the year, only because we haven't exhausted the ARPA funds. But we have, since the council approved the funding in August, the clerk has said this multiple times, that between August and December, it really was around getting contracts executed and getting us in a position. Many of the agencies, I think all of the agencies that you all approved were new to city contracting, so it was new. One of the things we highlighted in here is that we instantly realized that because city is a reimbursement payment system, that we were going to run into problems with some of the agencies being able to really get started because they didn't have startup funds. So we worked with, and it's outlined in the program, we worked with SEDCO, Eric Ennis and his team, Vaughn, to set up a program by which we would give them up to a certain amount, a percentage of their contract as a revolving loan, not a revolving loan, but a loan. And we would pay ourselves back out in installments over the course of the contract. And it really, I believe Mark was working on one of those agreements. Project HEAL has an agreement, and it's available for any program that needed it. And so I know Project HEAL took advantage of it. I know Northside Learning Center was in discussions about whether they needed it. And after we did that, I talked to Eric about really exploring that a little bit more. Even when we do contractor work, it is the cash flow to get people going. You get a contract, but then you need the cash flow to get actually to start doing the work, because you're not going to get reimbursed until you submit an invoice, and then you're waiting probably 45 to 60 days. So I talked to Eric about even taking this idea and expanding it beyond this program that we're running to maybe some of our minority women and veteran companies that may need it.
So, page 5 would be based off of page 10, is that correct? Or just wanted to be sure without being mistaken? For in the notable achievement section?
So page 5 gives us a recap of what was approved, the contracts amounts, how much has been invoiced, and you see they're just really getting ramped up,
Right,
and how much we've actually paid out.
Okay.
And then 10 is part of the efforts to find the pool, to be able to hire people on, and everyone is hired on now.
Okay, so
But
then
this gives us some ideas of the strategies they use, some challenges that we faced, and how we resolved those.
and then it goes into page 11 as well. Just trying to get
Yeah,
the,
and it's all putting together. I wanted to give you all a picture of the road we've been traveling since you approved this.
Okay.
So there was a heavy lift for contracting. There was a heavy lift for making sure our finance department was speaking with Lateef, and we were in budget. We were making sure that when invoices come in, we have the systems ready to go for. This was new to many of our systems. Many times we do a lot of brick and mortar stuff, but here we were contracting with social service agencies, which is not really, outside of CDBG, we don't really do this a lot, so we had to make sure. Because once these agencies invoice, we want to make sure the systems are all set.
gotcha. But just to show for the.
Yeah, just
to-
all that
to
has
account
gone
for
into
the-
where we are right now.
Correct, okay.
After speaking with the director of that program, it was mutually agreed that this particular population is not a population he's able to work with, but we have him contracted under another grant to do more of the community engagement kind of activity.
So we use that for our intervention specialist. So we took the same concept of what he would have been doing, and we hired 2 people for the city
Internally.
internally. We hired-
The original legislation does have your original group of people that you have in there.
OG against violence.
So we just have to double check just to make sure that,
I'll check with Joe. Okay.
but just,
That is a good point, yeah.
Okay.
just to piggyback off, so the total amount invoice was based upon the 10 and 11, with the caseworker retiring and
Yep, they're
the case manager, rather.
page 10 would be who they hired, and then this is actually what they billed to date or what we've spent to date. So some all programs have billed us, and that is covering staffing, and then the zeros are, they haven't been paid yet.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Gotcha, sorry.
So what's the composition, or at least the breakdown of the participants?
They break down like which organization is working with who?
No, in terms of
Who are
demographics and race and all of that.
Yeah, they're mostly all black. I mean,
All black.
we have
All-
like
is it all-
maybe 2 or 3 Hispanic, 2 whites. It's but predominantly it's black.
Okay, so black has there's native and then there's immigrants. Are any immigrants
There-
in that?
No.
I apologize, Council. We should have had that breakdown in this report, and we'll get it to you.
Okay. Any barriers?
Plenty.
Challenges.
Challenges? Yeah, it's always, I mean, I
Always
think
some
anytime we, have a new initiative, there's going to be some challenges. I think one of them was really figuring out who individuals were. Just having a name is one thing, but they have street names. So you might have John Williams or John Doe, but they might be Pookie on the street.
So trying to figure out the
figure out
government
who's
names.
who.
Government names.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so that took some time, but with the help of the Crime Analysis Center and really figuring out and our credible messengers, and and I think that's what makes credible messengers credible is knowing individuals. So once we get those nicknames, or we can, get a face and name together, that's how we were able to reach out. But yeah, that was one of the, and then finding out where individuals live, addresses. We've partnered with SPD and also probation. Some of the individuals on probation or parole. So we were able to get some information to meet them. But that is the job of the organizations to figure out ways to reach out and find individuals. But that's been a struggle.
The Crime Analysis Center, probation and parole have been amazing partners.
Yeah, really.
In assisting us, not only referring individuals, identifying individuals, but helping us with follow-up.
Yeah.
So once you figure out who was who, what was the level of motivation? Because part of being in this program was that there had to be a willingness of individual to want to be in it. What was the level of motivation? Did you find that credible messengers were pushing a little too hard, or were the individual were just excited to see that there was an alternative path to?
I think it's mixed there. We have some credible messengers here that can speak to that. I think the excitement comes in that they maybe know the credible messenger, and it wasn't a lot of push being given to an individual. But it's, again, that credible messenger model is that I know this person, I trust this person. And we found that out with the first few. Having a relationship with the credible messenger is important. I think that's the motivation, more than money, monetary or whatever, or opportunities, but having that relationship with somebody.
And where that relationship may not have been, because it's never a one-for-one exact match, Having parole and probation helping us encourage individuals to participate is helpful. We don't want to have a hammer approach to it, but where we need gentle persuasion, they are there because many of them are referring, meeting with us also to encourage people to participate.
I would really love to hear, as we go along, and I know it's too early, to hear the experience and the encounter of credible messengers in terms of what
I don't
they-
think it's too early. Dave, if you want to take, Dave could give you some real underground understanding of what's going on. Sorry, Dave.
Is it
You'll
not-
go up to the mic.
Dave, feel free if we are putting you on the spot.
What about nervous? Is that an option? Is that an option? Some of the engagements with credible messengers, with the clients or participants, right? It differs. I think, so, for example, the ones that I've been working with, right?
Yeah, get closer.
The ones that I've been working with, my experience with them were because they know of me or knew of me, it was kind of, the persuasion part was sort of easy. And so getting them to sign on really was effortless for me. When I got them to sign on, some of the struggles and challenges that I saw was kind of getting them to loosen up with other individuals that played a part in the program. And what I mean by that is other departments that are related to it. And so just trying to get them comfortable with kind of like getting away from me and understanding that, look, these alliances or individuals that we're working with are here to help you as well. There's certain things that they can offer you that I just can't give you. And so that was a challenge for me. However, I believe we are overcoming that. I'm talking about speaking from personal encounters and engagement that I've had with them. Some of the things that I do that the job entails is I'm in the real estate, and so I kind of keep them working, right? I keep them involved with doing things. I try to inspire them. I let them see. I try to be that demonstration, the inspiration for them. And when I do get with them, I do my best to challenge them. Right? I introduce new language and things like that to them. I've spoken and I would be talking just in general conversation. And one time, one of the individuals outright said, "What does that mean?" I had him open his phone. You're always in your phone. Open your phone and let's look it up together. And so for me, that is a challenging piece. So to offer new language, to let them see what it is that I do in the community, how I'm into, again, the real estate development and things of that nature, to see what my lifestyle looks like today as opposed to what it looks like yesteryears. And that's an empowerment piece, again, to I always tell them that whatever it is, principles, concepts, character building, things of that nature, whatever it is that I'm doing with you is simply to empower you. I want to give you something that you could call your own, that if I place you in a position, a job or anything, that you have the character to sustain in that job. And so these are the encounters. This is the type of things that we, as credible messengers, this is what we do.
So, Dave, I have a question. With the program, what's missing? Like, what do you, don't look over there at them. Just look over here at me. Don't look over there. I'm just playing. Yeah, don't look over. No, honestly, what's missing out of the program? So, I'm dear to, first of all, the kids. That's why I was late, because I was with a bunch of kids feeding them at the market to keep them out of trouble. But what is this missing? What is it like, from the key, from just understanding, like being through it, living it, coming back out, seeing the kids, seeing how things have changed, right? It's a different beast out here right now.
Ma'am.
What's missing that you think is needed? Or, if money wasn't an issue, right? But it is. So I'm just going to say, if money wasn't an issue, what you think is missing out of this that you would want to see happen for the program?
Curriculum. I would like to see curriculum And I think it's important to have a space where we could, because this is a divided city, as we know. And so us credible messengers, there's a lot of us that come from different areas of the city. And today, we coexist, we cooperate. We are the demonstration. We're the examples of that. So having a space where these guys, a neutral space, where these guys could see us cooperating, doing what we do, engaging, right? And having a space to, again, engage somewhere where we're not taking up their time, because we understand that they're dealing with a short attention span. And so we just want to be impactful and effective in what we're doing. So creating a space where we could sit down, give them some real life tools, and at the same time socialize, right? All in one space where we got the bricks, the 10th, you name it, the east side, the west side, we can get them all in one room. What's missing is the space and curriculum, and having the creativity, the mindset where dudes come together and we're creative and creating and coming about with solution and things of that nature. Because we can do it. We can do it.
Noble has been saying that for years now,
Yeah.
about having a safe space for therapy, to come together, all that. So I do agree. So you think curriculum is one of them? Fire space is one of the things that you need?
Space and curriculum. Yes.
So where does Project Heal fit into that?
So Project Heal, they gave you a good journey, because it starts with, can you guys, okay. It starts with really making the connection with the credible messenger. That's where it has to start. Because as he mentioned, they build a relationship with him and Fu and the other folks who are out there as credible messengers. And the reason that's important is because then he can make the referral to the case management, to the behavioral health therapy. They got to be able to trust the initial person so that he can say, come on, we're going to go over here. You're dealing with trauma that you haven't addressed. So here are some good folks who are therapists. They understand where you're coming from. They have family members themselves who may have been caught up or a victim of gun violence. And so to be able to make that transition, we are getting to that point now, and that's critical now, because now we're referring people, but it has to start with the credible messengers. You asked what's missing. Another big thing is housing. Too many of our young people are couch hopping. They are finding themselves having to make commitments to have a safe place or a dry place or a couch to sleep on. And so Lateef and I have had multiple conversations with opportunities, particularly when people have been the victim of gun violence and then they come out of the hospital or the trauma center, they're going right back to the neighborhood or right back to the same address. And so where can we have a space where they can de-escalate, where services can be pushed in? There was an agency that was talking with this about, Lateef and I met with them, and then the director left, and so the new director is like, no, that's not what we want to do. But that is, we're coming back around to this space kind of question again, about whether it's respite space or whether it's permanent space, because as I've always said, and you all know, the thing that makes us successful starts with where we lay our head. And if we can't lay our head in a place that is consistently ours and safe, it's hard for us to say, go to a training or go to a workforce or go to behavioral therapy. I need some place I can sleep, first of all.
Sure. What age should the kids start? What age would you say
Program?
Yep.
the kids start at, you know?
We call them kids, but they're 18.
Okay. Do we?
Young adults.
Yeah, I haven't heard, what about education? Getting the kids in school, getting the GED, maybe going to college or getting a trade. This is very important. Do we do anything to help you with that?
Yeah, so
get
we go to EOC, and
Okay.
we've taken kids or young people to different different opportunities, Dave, and also we have Good Life here, and their component is to connect them with education too. Yeah.
And beyond this population specifically, a large amount of our population is actually functionally illiterate.
Yeah.
They're able to do what they need to do to function, but can't read.
Yeah.
And so that is the foundation for really being able to help people excel in workforce or anything. And we're having this conversation irregardless of whether it's a gun violence population. And all of our workforce work that we're doing, we have to start with making sure people can read.
Yeah, because they're going to get a job. Yeah.
Okay, you can step up, go ahead.
Yes, sir.
Can read, they struggle with comprehension. I just wanted to.
Oh, okay, I understand.
Which for me, I want to stay back on the initial, and Councilor Cardwell, you came at a perfect time because we were talking about various life challenges, in which your question was right on point. I want to stay on that point of the therapy side, the trying to get together. Is the structure of Project Heal, is it individual based kind of therapy, or can it be a group?
They do both.
It can do both.
Do both.
And with that, if they do both, would we maybe, instead of emphasizing more of an individual, emphasize more of a group to address what was brought up?
It really will depend. And the director was going to be here, but her son has a fever, so she couldn't be here. But it really depends on the individual. So we never want a cookie cutter, because there's some people who will never be in a group session because they are going to benefit more by an individual session. And hopefully the individual sessions put them in a position where they can work with a group. Other people may be more comfortable in a group session, particularly if they're familiar with the same people in a group. We can bring that whole group in a room and talk about what is driving you, what do you want to see to change your life around, how can we keep you out of trouble?
Have we thought about possibly maybe enlisting some of our educational facilities, and what I mean by that, places like Syracuse City School District, places like Lemoyne, SU, EOC as well, to have a space where, there's that group convening where people can get together, as well as figure out some level of educational materials, maybe books that speak to their experience, have them introduced to a life like that, where they can get together, they can read a book that is very, very related to what they have experienced. Have we tried that maybe to reach out to those partners to see if that's something we can do together?
We partner completely with the school district, particularly with former Chief Fowler, his job is that working with the same population in the schools. And Lateef could talk about that some more. But the space is tricky, because it depends on the composition of the individuals, because individuals cannot go to certain sides of town.
Period.
Is there a way we could utilize SPD to help us in that process, in terms of just assuring the safety element of it?
The only thing that we can do is find neutral space, and the most neutral space is as close as we can get to downtown. That's neutral. Yeah. We're probably about to sell one of the most neutral spaces, which was the Commons, that bottom floor. But we're not going to give up on it. I mean, we have to find, there's a church downtown, Prince of Peace is downtown. That could be a location. Right. People may not want to go to Prince of Peace because it's right across the street from the sheriff's department and the police station. Right. So space is a tricky, just trying to find the space we can do stuff. Now, if we're working with particular groups of individuals that are on a certain side of town, it gets easier because they're on a certain side of town. But to bring collectively people together, right, we have to be careful.
Yeah. I have a question. So it's but Dave, Quan, whoever else is in the program.
That's why they're here.
That's why they're here.
I want to hear from y'all, right? Because y'all working, first of all, you're from the community, right? And you guys working with the individuals and our young people. What, besides you're seeing what's missing, because I'm always trying to figure out, right, strategize. I think about, as a young person, what did I miss? What did I do? What difference did I do, right? But I was an outside kid, right? I know how to play. We played, we stayed outside till the lights came on, the street lights came on. So with the individual, we know we have 2,000 or so plus kids in the Syracuse City School District that are in community venta. We know we have a lead problem and a housing problem in Syracuse. We know we have jobs. But when we're talking to the young people, right, have we figured out, what's the piece that's missing right, that they're saying that's missing, that we're missing. Because we're obviously missing something. And with the shooting, not necessarily, you know, there's car stealing, those things happen, which lead to other things. But them actually picking up a gun and hurting the next person. Like, have we actually, like, asked the young people, like, what is it that's missing and what we can do to change that narrative? Or what are they thinking when they're doing that? Speak up, Dad.
The last word you said was thinking. What are they thinking? That brings me to my personal experience, right? Where I served, you know, I did a decade. Mm-hmm. While doing that decade, right, the reason I stood up when you said that a lot of our kids can't read, I didn't struggle. I knew how to read. Mm-hmm. I struggled with comprehension. I could read all day, but I couldn't tell you what I just read. So while I was in there doing a decade, I was looking for somebody to do legal work for me. So a guy referred me to an individual he knew. I went to this guy, and the guy looked younger than me. I went to him, and I asked him if he would help me do my legal work. And in return for his service, I offered him drugs at the time, which little did I know was very insulting to this man, because here it is, he was serving 27 years, probably had about 18, 19 in, and he was really spiritual into who he was himself, and he just found that highly offensive, and he felt the need to dismiss me at that moment.
And that was inside?
This while I'm in prison. Mm-hmm. And he did that. He dismissed me and told me how he felt. But I came back. I approached him again, and I apologized, and I came differently. That opened up the door because he accepted it. Short story is, while the man was helping me with my legal work, we developed a relationship. In this relationship, he was one of those, he's a gut puncher, a straightforward type of guy. One day we were talking, he looked me squarely in my eyes and said, D, think. At that point in my life, that changed my whole life. And what happened was I realized that literally people, a lot of us aren't taught to think. We don't know how to process and really internalize information and make it our own, right? A lot of people I know, I'm talking about grown, young, you name it. A lot of them don't know how to do that. We haven't been taught to think. And I could raise my hand and say I was one of them. Never at the table, none of that. So I had to go to prison for that. So in there, I was inspired. I was challenged. I was empowered. These kids are missing it. They need a space. They need demonstration. They need somebody that looks. They know what transformation looked like because they knew me before I went to prison. They knew my lifestyle before I went to prison. I never step out. Every time I introduce myself, my mother named me David. Whatever anybody else labeled me, they did that on their own account. Credible messenger, whatever you label me. You did that. My name's David. My transformation, my transition came while I was in prison. While in prison, I took on the concept of just staying real. And so I've shared this with people. Real life, real talk, real life, and real estate, that's what I stand on. And when I speak of real estate, I don't just talk about the physical part of the real estate. I'm talking about ownership. Ownership in every aspect of your life. So when I sit down and I speak to these kids and you talk to them about what does the curriculum look like, for me it's about demonstration. It's about those that look like transformation. They know what it look like. They can detect, they can discern what's real and what's not. They do, trust me. They know what loves look like and what it doesn't, because a lot of them are voided of it.
So what would that thinking, teaching people to think, look like at a level where, at a lower level and a higher level? What would that look like? For you, obviously, it was in a different space.
Yes.
In a community like this, what would that thinking, teaching kids and adults to think, look like?
So for me, I speak about demonstration. The reason I speak about that is because, again, from my experience, I remember when I was standing on the corner, there was a guy that used to always go to work, but he rode a bike, and he would come and tell me and try to have conversation with me, but I'm looking at him, my perspective is you're on a bicycle trying to tell me to get off a corner where I'm hustling to get money. The guy that's pulling up behind you is in a Benz. Who do you think I'm more motivated or inspired to listen to? So for me, it's about I have to meet the people where they are. I hate to say it, I don't wear chains, I don't like to, but sometimes when I go outside and I have to talk to the crowd that I talk to, I have to, again, meet them. So I'll have to do what I have to do to make myself relatable because I know what they're looking for. They're looking for what I had to see. So again, for me, when it starts making myself relatable. I know that I have to establish that comfortability. I have to let them see what success, again, and transformation looks like first. Then and only then, I believe, can I truly get your attention. I've done it and I'm doing it, sir, with all due respect. Right now, I got individuals that I got studying cue cards. Nowadays, I don't know how many people could say they got kids doing that, studying cue cards when we got phones and technology. But for me, that worked. And so when I had to explain that to these individuals that it worked for me, just try it. Lo and behold, they did it and they've been doing it. One of them was relocated because of probation reasons or whatever, but he's on his way back here. I'm kind of happy he is because I had his attention. And I look forward to working with this kid because in my mind, I can truly change his life. And when you speak about it from a lower level, again, it starts there, man, showing them. And then speaking the language, giving them new language, having them study it, internalize it, and give it back to you. Not regurgitate it, but I need you to give it to me the way you understand it. That's how I was taught.
I appreciate that, Dave. I appreciate your truth, because the truth is real. I have to be very transparent. Y'all know I'm one of the people gonna shoot it straight too. It is what it is. Tomorrow makes 7 years. My son's been dead, and I still don't know. But because of my faith, and I'm gonna speak it, and I believe in God, and I know my assignment, and I know my mission. Even though I didn't ask for it, but I know my assignment. I have to have forgiveness in my heart, right? So when I wake up every morning before I get out the house, I pray. But I also ask for assignment of what I'm supposed to do. So when I said I was late, I was just with a bunch of kids that were fighting from school out near the hub yesterday. And I met them, but I knew I had to meet them in a way they could understand me. I wasn't going at them like, why are you fighting? I went over there like, talk to me. You know what I mean? I get it, and just let them know how loving and wonderful they are. And I stood on my word. I said, listen, you come back tomorrow, we're going to eat. But we're going to talk. You're going to tell me what you need. So I sat there and I fed them. They all came back. The ones that was fighting and wasn't fighting, girls, boys, they all came back. And they remember me, Miss. Everybody Miss. That's what they call it. And they all want jobs and want to work. So I'm only saying this to say this. I'm for everything for the kids. I want to help support. I want this to work. But I'm on the fence. And let me tell you why I'm on the fence. And it's not nothing against any of you guys, because I think what y'all doing is humble. That's part of, it takes a lot to do what you do. I'm on the fence because growing up where I've been here all my life, right? Like I said, I was a park kid. I talked to kids the other day. They didn't even know they could play hopscotch without chalk. All they needed was a rock, right? It was like a rock. I was like, if you don't grab that rock and we're going to do hopscotch, right? We didn't have those things growing up. We had to improvise. We had to learn how to play. We had to learn how to hit each other and run and all those things. That was a part of growth and learning. But we also had community centers, right? We also had messengers, which was our neighbors. And the policies and the money that was given when I was growing up was to that. Now, we don't have that anymore. It's flipped. Where's the money going to? It's going to all the violence. It's going to the correctional facility. It's going to Department of Justice to have that, where there's tons of kids out there that says to me, Miss Rashida, and this came out of the kid's mouth. This ain't even something I could even thought about. They said to me, what's going to stop me? Like, what's it for me to do? Because we're not giving those kids no attention. The ones that's just trying to figure out how to make it through, right? They trying to dodge the kid. The little girl told me, I ain't want to fight. She said, but I seen them around me. I either had to fight or I was going to fight tomorrow. She said, so I felt like I better get it today, right? She was trying to dodge him, literally. So I'm only saying this to say, and it's not even really to y'all, it's because I know people are listening, that we have to create spaces for our young people. We have to look at it and say, okay, times have changed. What we see on TV, I see some of the stuff I said. No wonder our children's minds are going, right? Because we exposed them too fast, sexual, everything, So there's so many layers to this. And we don't even want to talk about the pandemic. But I know we have to create spaces for them to go. We need more clubs. We need more community centers. We need houses that they can go to, that they know that this is a safe place. We need to make sure that they are all fed. And every kid need a summer job. I had 2 and 3 of them. I remember I had money coming out of my pocket because I was opportunity. So I saying this to say, I respect what you're saying. I know we got to do better. I respect you. I respect your truth and I respect your energy. But I also know that we have to be real about what we're going to do. You know what I mean? That's the only thing I can say now. We got to be real about how can we support these kids. Because right now, all of our kids feel like they're one. There's no separation. Everybody, the kids that aren't doing nothing feel like, well, what about us? So they told me, well, we might as well go over here because they're getting all the love. So we have to, as a community, we have to do it. The county, the city, we have to come up with an opportunity to make this 100 times bigger, but in a way that everyone is involved, right? Because that's how you learn. You learn from the kid that might knock on the door and do something wrong. You learn from the kid that's studious. It's the same thing we're trying to do with our community here. We're trying to make Syracuse back to a community and change where everybody that don't have nothing living together. Because if you need sugar and I need sugar, we're going to have the sugar, right? So we got to do that with our kids. We got to put them together. We have to build that relationship and let them learn from each other, but also teach them right from wrong. So I'm only emphasizing why I stay on the fence, because I see the kids, they're like, dog, what about us? But then we got these kids that we know we got to struggle. So it's more to say we got to get some support and help into our city so safer streets become, safer streets for all. You know what I mean? Because every one of our kids are vulnerable. My son ain't never lived no life like that, and he became a victim, I became a victim, right? So trauma lives within me, right? And it becomes DNA, right? People don't know once it's in you, it's in you. So imagine all these kids who have trauma, right? It's this trauma. It's continuing to grow. And I don't think we pay attention to that as an adults, how the trauma that they have to deal with every single day is a part of their reaction when it comes to communication. You know what I mean? Because I know sometimes how I feel, but I'm an adult, so I know how to sway it to not be disrespectful. Kids don't have those words yet. When they mad, they mad. They're going to let you know they mad. So I respect what you guys are trying to do, and why I asked what's missing, because that's important. What can we do to make this better? And I also believe everybody can't go. And I'm saying it like you're real. Everybody can't go. Some people got to get left behind to save the better. But not to leave them behind, not to give them help. But what I'm saying is to save the other 10, one might have to stay back and we get them some other resources to make sure these other 10 become amazing, successful kids that they are built to be. So,
And I'm careful about what I say when I say this, but for some folks, Dave's life changed after he was incarcerated. Mm-hmm. So, that is an option for people where it applies. And so even for the folks that we're working here, this is, like we've said, this is not a get out of jail free card. Mm-hmm. This is our reaching out to you to try. I'm thankful to be able to say that the 50 plus another 5, just in case one of the 50 gets arrested or is incarcerated, we can bring somebody else on, have not been engaged, have not been a victim of gun violence. I know we got a long summer to go, but we're going to keep up. We're going to keep up the work that we're doing.
That's what I was going to ask.
Yes.
Page 18.
Mm-hmm.
Total of 55 individuals. Total dropout section, it says 0 have willfully dropped out, 1 briefly moved out of state, and 1 youth was arrested and released, which temporarily paused services. That
Right.
1 youth that was contrary, it wasn't contrary to this program, it was related to another incident.
So this would have been one of the 55.
Okay.
One of them, Dave mentioned, left but is coming back.
Okay.
So we'll pick him up again. And then one was arrested.
Right.
And so we couldn't serve him because he wasn't out in the street, but he is released. So we're going to bring him back in the fold as well.
Okay. But
And-
that was
and-
my question. It wasn't related to gun violence at all. It was some other incident.
No.
Okay.
And I think what we're finding out, what works is having intervention in place with high-risk individuals. So if we continue on this path, along with, of course, you have to have law enforcement community work together, but as long as you're making contact with individuals and you have people that's credible, they're most likely not going to shoot because they have intervention happening. And that's the important part. So that keeps the community safe. So, you know, as a pastor, I believe we have to service everyone. If it's up to me, you know, if I hit the lotto, well, first, I ain't going to quit, though. I might quit.
He got his hands under his body like this.
I'm gonna quit. But I would probably use most of the money to build several community centers because they're needed in area. Oh, I'm a pastor. I ain't got no reason to lie. Where I'm
This is
going.
on recording later. Make sure you date and time this.
Well, let me see where I'm going.
I mean,
this week.
we're you know, sometimes you have to laugh to keep them crying, but
Right.
Space is a big thing.
It's
I
a
mean,
big
you've
thing,
talked
man.
about it. It's big. Space is
Right.
where people can feel safe. Is hard, particularly when you're talking about this population and the young people that are trying to stay away from this.
Yeah.
Is food an issue with any of them? Food. Not. You haven't? You haven't? Okay. Food is a big issue.
Can you come up? Paul?
Come on.
Just give me your name and your organization.
Pitts, Good Life Youth Foundation. Food resources have been a problem for a couple of our individuals. We have an individual that's living in Catholic Charities, so, you know, he has certain difficulties. We also had a young man whose family was a victim of a fire who lost everything. So they have resources that they desperately need. So we usually tap into, like, Abundant Life Church and stuff like that on Tuesdays, pick it up on Wednesday to try to service our families.
What about the pantries? Have you engaged with the pantries at all?
Yeah, we have a listing of all the local pantries, and we turn all the all our clients to those resources when they don't have it.
Okay. And there's no resistance. It's working out great.
Repeat
It's
that.
working out great.
You know, if you catch the pantry on the day that they're open, sometimes a person need isn't within the hours of a pantry. You know what I mean? They may call you at 7 o'clock, the pantry's closed or whatever. So you got to locate the one that's going to be open the following day to try to make something happen for them.
What you think is missing, Anthony?
Real support and understanding from you all to really express that, like, this city has a history of programs and then coming back to bite the participants. So that's their real reluctance. Just understanding that it's open hands and the opportunity is there for them to really create the change and not be punished once they start. You know what I mean? That's their real reluctance. All these kids looking for a way out. You know what I mean? So when you give them that olive branch, they're going to try to take it. They just worried about what comes next.
Anthony, has your church been a big source of strength for you?
You said my personal church?
Yeah, your church or other churches.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Born and raised in the church.
Okay.
So picking up back on that, in terms of the faith community, how is there inclination from the participant in terms of them wanting to reintegrate into the faith community at all? And are there any ways that they are being helped to really be facilitated to take advantage of those desires?
I mean, I don't think we've actually kind of pushed faith personally through our organization. We try to turn them on to different resources. Now, we do reach out to churches to try to provide services to the youth and the young men that we service, though. For instance, if they are in binds or in need of community service or whatever, our first call is always to the churches to try to get whatever needs done through the people that we work with.
Yeah, that was my question, to see if there were some of them that are taking advantage of,
yeah.
of these services, and then they express, okay, since I'm in this space, I want to go a little further. Can you help me get a little
Oh, no,
further?
no. What we found is, like, we have like, we currently have, I believe we got like either 7 or 8 guys signed up, right? Half of those guys are working, more than half actually, but the others are willing to do what's necessary to get ahead. You know, they got young families and they just trying to find their way. Everybody wants help. It's just how is the help gonna come? You know what I mean?
And it struggles with employment in terms of keeping a job and
Transportation. You know what I mean? A lot of times, you know, the jobs that they get, they set themselves up for failure by it being outside their means. It's too far to get to or whatever. So what we try to do, we try to provide assistance with that, you know, internally,
Do you run into suspended licenses too?
all the time,
All the time.
all the time.
Sorry, because, you know, you get a job and half of that has to go to pay a bus or Uber. And what we as society, we forget humanity of people. We really do.
I think I saw where my kids all attended Hillside, right, in high school.
Yeah.
So Hillside, my 3 daughters, they all worked at Wegmans, and Hillside provided transportation to and from. So we kind of steal that idea. We try to provide, if one of our participants need assistance, we'll definitely get them back and forth till they get their first couple checks, and they can be sufficient on their
You
own.
want to
type of
work,
thing.
you know, all the big talk that's going on about Micron, and I told the county executive last week, you know, that's nice to have these jobs, but how are people going to get jobs? Like in my community, those can't afford a car. Well, they have access to a bus where they can have a good job, a living wage. We want to talk about Micron, it's be inclusive to everybody, and I mean everybody in this community. No one should be excluded because they don't have a car. Everybody should have a right to work.
You guys can help create some opportunities for us to figure that out. You know what I mean?
We'll try, but I just want you to know our budget here. Tell them, Deputy Mayor, it's tough. We struggling. We want to make sure everybody else is here, and our assemblies, our senators, our county. City needs some money. All right, let's go. Any of the other agencies are here. We heard from,
while they are thinking, I got, in terms of when you go to page 18, total number of mentorship activities, what does that mentorship look like?
I'm going to ask, maybe if Devin wants to come up to talk about mentoring, or is it cool? Anthony, wanna come back? When you want to talk about mentoring? And that's why we wanted, they're here to come today, so they can talk to you about what they're doing instead of me talking. They can tell you what their mentoring program is about.
They do a lot. Like, these aren't little kids, these are adults. So the mentoring process is just kind of like, hey, listen, we got these job opportunities over here where they might not have been looked these as opportunities for them to get employment. The mentoring, it looks totally different for our cohort, this age group. We're not hanging out, going to the movies, going bowling, you know, going to cookouts, even though we go to their parties and family cookouts and stuff like that. But the mentoring just looks like, okay, listen, let's get your life in order. Here's an olive branch for you so you don't turn into a recidivism number, okay? This is what we have to offer you. Here it is. Walk through the door. That's completely what our mentorship looks like. How can we help you? How can we assist you to get better housing, better employment, better opportunities for you and your family? That's what all the mentoring consists of at Good Life with our cohort.
So speaking of that, how do they, I know the program is a supportive system, right? And I know the program is not 24 hours. What are some of the supportive system outside of the program that the participant have expressed, or that you know of as well?
We work 25/8.
It's 24 hours.
Yeah, they can call us at any time, and they do. Sometimes, like one of our guys' house burnt down. It was in the middle of the night. He called his coach. We was on it. We got out there to him. We tried to assist him in every way. So even though we only work from certain hours, it's a normalcy. They cool with the credible messengers. Like Dave said, he knew the guy. That's probably why he signed up. Okay, my man Dave is rocking with this, so I'm going to try it. So they like our family. They come to our houses. We know it's not work. I mean, it's part of a job, but it turns into family to a certain extent. Like we care what happens to our cohort. Like it's personal. You know what I'm saying? So when we see the shortcomings, we get frustrated. When we see how our hands are tied, I mean, I got to give y'all credit. Y'all trying to put something in place to deter something. You know, this is a systemic problem. Like, you know what I'm saying? We kind of just trying to do something to prevent the people who we know most likely have a high rate of recidivism from doing that. So this is why this is in place, and I applaud y'all for putting that in place. You know what I mean? But it's just one piece, like you said. It's a whole bunch of other kids that ain't doing nothing that may be getting overlooked, but we just talking about our cohort. So this is what we're doing with them. Everything is life-based. Every time we bring them into the Good Life facility, we're talking to them about, hey, what do you want to do? Okay, school's not for everybody. You into fashion. We have a couple different outlets. We have a printing company. You want to make some clothes. You want to do an internship with them. Everything is structured towards how do we get you ahead so you don't have to go back to that other life that you were a part of.
So with that, which I is you guys have to be commended for, taking this on as heavy as it is, right? And you guys are one facet within a network, right? Within a social network.
Right.
Are there other social networks beside you that these individuals lean on? How are their families? Are there other areas that they lean on besides just you?
Yeah, definitely. Some of the people we point them in a direction. It's a collaboration, okay? Like you got the Project Heal, you got CNY Works. It's a lot of different people who we all incorporate. We work together. They're not necessarily a part of what we do, but we reach out to them. We point these folks in this direction. So yeah, it's a lot of different agencies that help the people besides us. But our whole thing is plugging them into all of those outlets. Listen, go here, go there, do this, do that. We point them in the right direction. We're not gonna be able to fix everything. We're just trying to get them going in a certain direction. So we use everything that the city has to offer. Even the people who are outside of our partnership, we're creative with it. Like Dave said, this is a living, breathing thing. It changes every day. We have to adapt all the time. Different situations, different people, like she spoke to, bringing everybody together. That's never gonna happen.
Right.
Hopefully one day in a perfect world, but right now, so back to the space issue, which is definitely needed. When I grew up, we had clubs and stuff like that. Things was different. We got a lot of centers that don't really get utilized in the town. I don't know why, but they're there already.
Right.
You got to meet the kids where they at. You got to have people for the South Side. You got to hire people who live on the East Side to work with the East Side. That's just what it is. There's no getting around that. You can say bring everybody together, kumbaya, but somebody gonna get hurt.
Yep.
How is Project Kill? Is anyone from there?
She was gonna come, but her baby.
Oh, yes,
got
what you
sick.
just said. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. So how's that working with the therapy with you guys?
I mean, this is a living and breathing thing. Everybody's trying to get everything together. It's a process, okay? And these are some of the hurdles and obstacles that we have, getting everybody together. Hey, listen, we're going to do group therapy. Okay, hold on. This group is going to be 2 people. But, we're kind of bound by the contractual obligations as well, that certain things have to be in place. There's certain metrics that are on the board that have to be adhered to for them to get what they're supposed to get. Those are some of the hurdles that we're running into. You can't think of everything when you're laying something out, which is a good thing, that this is a pilot and it's breathing, and we can come back to Lateef and say, hey, listen, man, this ain't working. And he's like, okay, well, give me a minute. Let me see what we can do to try to pivot. But that's where we at.
Yeah.
One of my frustration, and it's not just Syracuse as a community, is something consistent around and across the United States, that everything is so institutionalized that if you are not a part of an institution, you basically fall off. And I think it goes back to the point you expressed earlier, that there's all of these things that used to exist, the community fabric that used to exist. Well, as it weed off, it's being taken over by an institution, and institutions can do so much and can carry so much. While what about everyone that has no access to an institution? Where do they go? right?
Right,
And I
that's
think
the systemic problem, bro.
Right, that's a
we
serious
can't
issue.
address that with this program. Like I wish we could, but
Right.
that's way above what we're trying to do.
right.
That's
And
a systemic thing in the United States of America. It's
Right.
been going on forever. Like, I mean, we gotta combat that in a whole different way. That's not what we doing. We can't even begin to think like that. Like, we'll be way off track. Nothing to get done.
And
We trying to deal with the certain people who we know gonna turn up the numbers. They've shown a propensity to do certain things, but because they're dealing with us, because they're dealing with the credible messengers, they have a tie.
That's it.
They're like, okay, I'm gonna rock this with you for a minute, Dave. Not to say, you know, hopefully everything will go fine, but at least they're giving us an opportunity to show them something different.
That's it.
You know, I'm putting you on the spotlight.
No, go ahead.
I'm just speaking because I'll tell you, we got hit bad. All of us that voted yes for it, right? And I got a soft spot. So when it comes to the kids, I'm like, listen, I'm ready. What we gonna do? We gotta go. You know, I believe when you come from a neighborhood and you see what happens and you see the love and you look at a kid's face and you know, like, okay, if they just had an opportunity, things could be different. So we took a hit. To be honest, the community was upset. We got emails, we got phone calls. They're like, well, why are you spending this $1 million or more for some kids that are already in trouble? So I'm asking you, so I'm not putting you on the spot, so this is for anybody, right? What would you say, right, to why it's so important to make sure we pay attention to that? Like, why it's important that, because this can't be a year thing. It's a pilot. In order for it to be successful, we know in studies, it show that it takes about 5 years before anything becomes the way tight and what it needs to be done. That's what most programs are doing. So what would you tell the community, right? Because the community was uproar. They were like, I mean, from, you know, I'm probably gonna get in trouble again, but I'm used to it. I had aunts and uncles and grandparents and people like, baby, we tired, we don't care. That's what people like. I don't care no more. Lock them in his minds. I don't care. Like, why would we put taxpayers' money for somebody where we're in a city where we're already in deficit? What would you tell people why it's so important? And like I said, this is not to anything, but I'm just want people to understand. Come on, people, why it's important. Y'all can answer.
I'm gonna let you answer. Let me answer first. I would ask the community, what do you want us to do? Like, we just supposed to throw our hands up and don't do anything? This is just one step to try to deter certain things from happening. And I don't want the kids that are doing good and positive. We need something for them too. But this, what we're doing right here, we know what these people are capable of. We have a record to show it. Law enforcement has told us this is how they get referred to us. We know if we just let them be amongst the good kids, what's going to happen? So my question to the community be, like, why not? What do you want us to do? Then the community has to take some responsibility for their children too. Like, I mean, what you want us to do? That's my question to the community. What would you have us to do? And you're going to hear crickets. This is something. We got to take something over nothing. Yeah.
This is not to throw shots or throw up old wounds, but the things we're seeing in our community today is a symptom of something that went on for a long time that we stuck our heads in the sand about. For 20 years, we said there wasn't a gang problem, there wasn't a gang situation or a gun violence problem in Syracuse. So the problem got bigger and bigger. And now we trying to solve it, and it's greater than any of us can imagine. You know what I mean? Like, to change the mindset of a child, you have to change the mindset of the family. I can work with a kid 10 hours a day and show nothing but positive promise to this kid, and he goes back home into a negative situation. What do you think is going to come outside the next day? So we gotta truly invest in our community, and it's going to cost some money because it costs money for us not to do anything. So it's going to take some hits, but we got to do what we got to do to get in front of it.
You got to trust everyone. You got to learn to trust people. Because if they say, well, we don't have time and money, how much money do it cost us? We got to bury these kids. When will that end? How much money did that cost them? So you want to save a kid or you want to bury another kid? And this has got to stop. And I'm going to say this. You are the future. You have an opportunity, but we got to trust each other. And when I say this to younger kids, you are the future. You are the future. I'm going to lean on you for support. I'm going to lean on you for support. I'm leaning on you for support as our future. You have the ability to do it. I understand about this gang violence and all this nonsense. I do. I have family in New Jersey, life of crime, going to prison to see my uncle and my cousin live a life of crime. But you know what? By the grace of God, he's getting sober away from the drugs, and he's working on it. So I got very emotional when you were talking, and you were talking, and you were talking. It just brought me back to my childhood, going seeing an uncle, incarcerated, going to prison, and with the terrible things that he did. When I hear, it just hit me personally, and I don't mean to talk about it, but it just came out.
Thing I want to say. I think Latif being put in this position was, I don't know if it was the intention or not, but I thought it was very good strategically, because who better than him, who has buried a lot of these young men that we working to try to save, to be sitting in that seat and truly understand the task that he's tasked with. You understand where I'm coming from?
Appreciate it. Anybody else?
I just want to add this point by saying that, it's kind of puzzled me a little bit when people say that we should be investing more in kids that are doing good, which it's not a bad argument. It is a good argument for sure. But what about the resource we put in community centers? Ton of it. Those are for those kids that want to get somewhere. There's those resources we pour into parks. Right?
We don't do enough.
Right? And it's not, we could do more.
I'm going
We could do
to
more.
defer with that, but we don't do
but
enough.
give me a second, right? We have given that. There's always room for more. There's always room for more. But I think when people, and I got that pushback as well when we were voting on this, that somehow that you are rewarding people who are damaging the society. You are. That's what was told to me before we even vote for it. You are rewarding these individuals. And I said, look, but whatever you think of it, that might be right. I don't know, right? But what I do know is we are doing this in a parallel approach. The folks that are on a pathway to want to do well for themselves and folks that have slipped off and want to get back on track. We got to try to help these individuals. Yes, are the resources enough? Of course not. They're not enough. Park need more investment. Community centers need more investment. But this little that we got here is to help this individual that has fallen off, that is trying to climb back up so that they can be on a pathway with everybody. We can't say no to these individuals as well. They are all community members, and they live here. And the more we let them stay there, the more they're going to damage us. We got to try something. And that I think that was the conversation, and that conversation is far done, and what we are doing currently, I think just listen from all of you, David and all of you. I think it's that it just gives validity to what we are trying to do, and the need for it, and trying to kind of turn the train around a little bit. It's going too fast, but we got to try to slow it down.
Counselor, a 23-year-old that Dave, for example, is working with, went through a 23-year journey to end up working with Dave. That journey is not going to be turned around in 6, 9, 12 months, but they're working hard to open the eyes of individuals who haven't trusted anybody around them, but for multiple years, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24 years, whatever the circumstances were in their life, led them to the position where law enforcement said, these are the drivers of the gun violence in Syracuse.
You're right. And not only, Dave, come up, but let me say this. The other pieces, no, come on, Dave, because I'm going to be quick. And not to even, we don't give enough to the community centers. I'm a person that grew up here, and I'm the history.
It's about accountability.
Yes, accountability, what we give. So I'm going to say, and I can stand on that I grew up in my family, and people, Amir laughs at me all the time. My family been here since the 1800s, so I can tell you the history of what Syracuse was like, right? And they always remind me. But to say we have plethora of community centers, right? And we did give back to the kids, and we should do for good and for the ones that are not. But we have to, I lost my train of thought. That's that getting old. We have to, I want to make sure, and I wanted to clarify why I asked that question, because that was part of what I said. I said, we got to do something. 20 years ago, with gang violence, and Fuquan Anthony said something real. 20 years ago, it was here, right? Nobody wanted to listen and do this. 20 years ago, people wasn't going to the house to get shot. Right? There was rules.
Right.
That's right.
So you didn't think about it.
Right.
Never in a million years. And I'm saying this to say I never in a million years would I would think my son would ever get murdered, and darn sure not in front of my house.
Right.
Right? That was a rule. Especially someone who never been in the streets. So this is a cycle of us not doing anything and acting like stuff didn't happen, right? There was rules to the streets, and now the kids is like, and people are all over the place because for 20 plus years, we act like there was nothing going on. So I only said that not to make call, but I needed y'all to express so people understand what's going on, why we can't just not say anything because this has gotten out of hand. So go there.
And before you answer, because I do got to go get my daughter. Okay. For the appendices related to the programs, is there a PDF file that we can get to actually look at?
Those are all the appendices. We didn't want to print them out, so we're
Okay.
creating a large PDF.
Perfect. Okay.
That we're going to send to you all and then post on the webpage.
The webpage? Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. That's all I need. Thank you.
Go ahead, Dave. We're gonna let you talk because he gotta go get his baby. No, go ahead. He's gone. We got you. Go ahead. You lost your train of thought too.
I'm getting old like
Yeah.
you. No, I think, I kind of did. But to answer the question, with them wondering why we should, why would we do that? I think because we have real life examples before us, right? Sharon was saying for 23 years it took for this young man, using this example of this young man, right, to reach his point to where now he's working with Dave, right? I was sharing with some of the credible messengers one time. I said, for some of us, this job is a job. For others, it's looked at as a career. And then for others, it's looked at as a calling. And where I'm at, the point of where I am in my life today, that's what I've accepted. This is my calling. I'm called to do this work. And so whether it's fate, by chance, I don't know. But yeah, that same young man, I went to prison. I had some of the same struggles and issues he dealt with. I had to go through my journey to gain what I had to gain, to come home and be the man that I am today, to take what I've learned and influence my family. So some of the young men can learn without, I'm not saying that because it's a lot of our family. I'll be the first to admit, I have a huge family and a lot of us, they're lost. There's a lot of ignorance. It's real and it exists in my family today, right now as we speak. And so what I do in my family is I use myself, my experience, everything that I have going on, everything I learned, again, to be that inspiration, to be that influence. I challenge them. Even my own mother would walk in here today and tell you how I've impacted her life. We've done it to each other. We do it all the time. You know what I mean? And so I think, it does take, sometimes it takes circumstances, going to prison. It takes encounters, engagements, experience, others' experience. That's where the real wisdom comes in. You know what I mean? And so, I think it's well worth the shot because there's people out here that could help. Because, and another thing, I listen to you speak from experience. And a lot of those people that are calling in, they're not in your shoes. Haven't been in my shoes. Therefore, they can have all the opinion in the world. But until they've been in our shoes, then their question may change. Why not hire these guys, or why not have this program going on? But it's about perspective. You see your strength and you see what you're giving them, though. That's empowering. Here's where the story comes in. This is where we impact the people. This is what the work is about. That's what the work is about. Somebody such as yourself being able to stand up and show your strength and show them how to overcome and how you deal with it. That's necessary. That's healing. That begins the healing process. So we all doing the work.
Thank you.
I have two questions, and then probably we should wrap it up.
You the boss today.
The first question is, not a question, but a request. Would you look at the educational attainment of the 55 individual? Have they graduated high school?
Yeah.
Are they less than high school?
Yeah.
What is that like?
Okay.
The other question is for those individuals that are being referred to CNY Works,
Yes.
or at least individuals that are already working. Did they go through CNY Works at all? Because Dave has talked earlier about those individuals that are working and transportation is an issue. Did they were they a product of CNY Works placing them at all?
Probably not. Most of them probably never knew what CNY Works was. So it is our working with he's doing this back there. Nope. Came in with jobs.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
Now,
Councilman, that the age group, a lot of them are already started working. Some are working, some just go apply for jobs. They don't go through CNY Works. It's just depending on which individual. That's why the program is really individualized, because everybody has it coming in different.
But we can get that answer for you.
okay, the other,
Actually, before you ask that, Ms. Goss, did you get a chance to speak about
He
it?
did not. He did not.
Can you come
You-
and just,
you wanna-
well, briefly just tell us if there's anything you want to know, because you are a part of the partnership.
And
That's
the
here.
important thing about Mark, just let me add, is that this is our first venue into the north side of town.
Our side is in fact different. So we have a service navigator, Fatna Muhammad, who unfortunately couldn't join us today. She's doing a lot of that hands-on, whether it's food from the food pantry, helping people apply for jobs. And I really see this as a basis for the other work, Councilor Caldwell, that you're talking about, that we all know we need to expand it for all of the children in our community. So in my reflections, I think one of the things, and Deputy Mayor Owens and I, even when this first RFP came out, we had some conversations because we weren't a perfect fit for this, but I felt that our participation would help us understand what is happening in the other parts of town and help us do some of that prevention work that we know needs to happen for all those other youth. I've been impressed at the collaboration here. I've been around nonprofits for a long time, and I always hear the word collaboration, but I rarely see true collaboration across agencies. And in all the meetings that Lateef convenes, there is a real commitment across agencies, a real focus on the youth to find exactly what the challenge is, who knows what, and how we can meet those things. So I believe we're going to come away, all of us, all the agencies, with a stronger sense of how to serve that next 50 or that next 500 or the others. And
Billy Zero.
yes. Well, I
day.
meant just the
One
other
day.
youth
Yep.
who aren't on that list yet
Right.
and don't need to be. And the other thing, just sitting here reflecting, especially with tremendous respect for those credible messengers, I truly believe that the work that we're hearing, and when Dave talks, I think there's 5 or 6 or 8 potential Daves who are going to be examples to others who know what these kids are doing out in the streets and would give them, a different role model to go a different way and find out that they aren't, this isn't a single path that people have to continue on.
thank you, Mark. Thank you. And also, Deputy Mayor and Lateef, could we also get, out of these 55 members, how many are working so
Sure.
far?
Yeah.
As well as maybe for the sake of later work, in case to see, and I don't know if you can get this data, to see when these individuals first got encounter with the law enforcement.
Okay.
And I'm asking that because we talk about, there's SPD would speak about this, the 3 approach: prevention, prevention, intervention, and suppression, right? That's right. So we are trying to stay at the prevention piece, right? Trying to stay at prevention piece, and I think with that prevention, I think age become critical in before we intervene. Sometimes when you intervene, there's chances are very less than if you would have started from a prevention standpoint. So those are a few questions.
Yep.
Council.
And I know we got it. Everybody wants to go enjoy the beautiful day, but I just want to say this: as you guys are working with individuals, constituents, one of the things that we recognize, and I come from community youth program. I love it, right? I miss being with the kids. That's why every time I get a chance to, I go back because they humble you, but they educate you, right? What are you guys doing as you continue to do this? What are you doing to make sure that you, right? Because when you're working with people, I tell you, you have this reflection back, your brain and your heart and just your mental health. What are you guys doing throughout this process to keep yourself, because you got to keep it real. It's easy. Sometimes, it's hard. I tell people it's hard. It's easy, left, right, and it's hard to deal with it. And how do you deal with it? You're personally, mental health, things that when it's affected working with it. So are you guys making sure you're getting what you need, whether it's somebody you talk to, whether it's something that you're dealing so that you guys can be able to continue to help individuals that are dealing with a lot of issues?
Yeah.
Basically, what are you doing as providers and messengers and community people to make sure that your mental health and that you're okay when you continue to see trauma and violence and dealing with families, because it affects you. So what are you guys doing?
And introduce yourself.
My name's Kai. I'm a case manager of Salvation Army. Usually, right now, I don't have like a specific system, but I connect more with my supervisor. Just because I'm newer to this kind of like program, I don't have like a whole lot of experience, but when it comes to like keeping stable and trying to like work through things like that, I just kind of refer back to Moret, my supervisor. But yeah. With kids though, I usually just come out, ask them like what do they need to help themselves. I have a person I'm working with right now who's kind of like backpedaling and resorting back to like drug usage and things like that. So I kind of just introduce them to services, for example, Project Heal. So yeah, things like that. Yeah.
Woman kept talking about the work she does. Yep.
Good afternoon, Colin Hillman. I just want to speak on the mental health thing and staying self-accountable and self-aware. That SNUG's model is big on from the hiring process on through the training, recognizing street addiction traumas from our past for all the outreach workers for SNUG specifically. One of the efforts that we're trying to do is in this collaboration with Safer Streets and all the other initiatives is trying to get as consistent as we can across the board for our social workers, our outreach workers, our credible messengers, our mentors, and all getting everybody on the same page and understanding all those. And if Noble was here, he could talk about street addiction eloquently. But that's one of the risks of this type of work. All the biological things that Noble would speak on. It's risky work, right? We talk about walking that thin line and being in the streets, maybe in the same community that you came up with. So staying accountable, staying self-aware, and also self-care. So that's right from the inception of all the outreach guys that we're hiring, we're talking to. What does your self-care look like? And that's to address exactly what you're talking about. So that is part of the training from hiring on through, and again, working through. And I can't speak with the other organizations exactly what that looks like, but when we're working together, that's part of the thing that we're trying to really build is consistency in training and all the workers that are part of this team. Does that answer that a little bit?
Yeah, thanks.
Chief Trudell, you got anything before?
Latif has
You got nothing?
And I'm sure it's public record that you all said that we need to make sure we get, self-care. So we're going to do a retreat in September. Is it September, Anissa? So,
Important. It's
know,
important because,
Yes.
you know, most of everybody that's working live in the community.
Yeah.
So you don't never get a chance to get
Yeah.
away. You just going right back in it. So to breathe, it's real.
So that's going to be like our respite time, and we really won't be, that retreat is going to be designed to just relax and to really just connect with each other as a group. And, you know, we talked about it earlier when I first started the position. We did a retreat, and you guys were like, yeah, you guys need to make sure you have masseuse there and all that. So when y'all see the bill and we got
You trying to
masseuse
get us
there,
more in
I'm
trouble?
just trying to.
Okay, the meeting is over.
But no, all jokes aside, we
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that retreat, we're really going to work on working on that self care and bring some people in to really talk about it on a serious note, because that's
Absolutely.
really going to be important.
Oh, yeah.
I know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I did it yesterday. I opened the door and shared some personal stuff that I had going on. And again, for me, it's about demonstrating, being an example. So sometimes you have to initiate. Sorry, you have to.
The mic.
Yes, I'm sorry. My apologies. You have to initiate. You know what I mean? Sometimes. And so yesterday, that's what, you know, I wanted to open the door to tell them, hey, look, it's okay. It's safe. I'll be the first one to share personally some of my struggles with anxiety and things like that, right? And so I don't mind. I'm one of those guys, I don't mind. I'll tell you what my shortcomings are. Never had a problem with that.
Excellent. Just when you go to that retreat, I know there's going to be food.
Yeah.
Bring me back a plate.
A councilman,
Bring me back a plate.
that's going to be a charge. You all right?
Thank you. Well, thank you all. Thank you so much. All right. We are adjourned. Thank you.
Councilman, thank you, sir. I think it was good.